Airial, if I could marry her brain, it would be amazing.
If you need anything technical.
She is down to earth. She's fun. She's very easy to network with.
Anything systems oriented.
Just anything web dev techie that I don't understand, Airial has swooped in and fixed. And she's my accountability bulldog.
She is a queen.
Anything infrastructure related.
She is helpful, and she helps guide and answer all your questions that you have about growing your business and networking and getting started.
She gives me life. She just gives me life.
Airial Re'nal is your girl. Welcome to the TrepTECH podcast with your host, Airial Re'nal.
I just want to marry her brain. She's a genius.
1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever know. And 2 is almost as lonely, but not quite as lonely as the number 1. And that is what we're going to be talking about today on the TrepTECH podcast. I am here with the lovely, the wonderful, the energetic Airial Re'nal. Airial, what's up?
Hey, I guess I got to put some energy in my voice now.
What is going on, Airial? How you doing?
Nothing much. I am interested to hear what you're going to cover today.
Yeah.
Because, we strive to be number 1, but like you said, it can get lonely. So let's talk about that. Let me see if I agree with you or disagree, or let's see.
Okay, so what I want to talk about this month, since we're in the last week of May now, and we've done Mental Health May, I want to talk about entrepreneurial loneliness. And I know that sounds kind of weird because entrepreneurs are supposed to be successful and surrounded by all these people, and they put themselves in situations to succeed, but it is very lonely being an entrepreneur. And what I mean by that, in order to properly frame it, I'd have to bring you back to when I started. And now all you have to do is look at Facebook, okay? If you look at someone's status and it says, I got a job, you will see 300 likes, 20 comments, a bunch of good work, where are you working, blah, 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 blah. Because that is a universally human experience. Everyone goes out and gets a job at some point. The people who don't, whoa, how'd you do that? Okay. Right. Everybody knows what it's like to have a job. But you go to see someone who says, I just started my own business. You'll get 12 likes, 2 comments. And one of those comments is someone telling you it's a fucking bad idea.
And then 15 people block you.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things where you can see just there that there's evidence of this. The second you start a business, people don't understand you. So when I started my business, my biological father, who I don't talk about very often, literally tried to tell me to go get a job as a teacher, a social worker, a car salesman, anything else other than what I want to be doing. My mom tried to tell me it doesn't really work. Are you sure? Do you have a plan B? Maybe you should go back to school, blah, 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 blah. My stepdad, who is a veteran, was like, you should join the military. And I was like, yeah, but I'd like to do other things. And he's like, I dropped your resume off at the smelter where I work. And, I was like, okay. And I went and got an interview there, and they told me that I would be better off in their offices than in their labor pool. Even they knew I wasn't suitable for the job, but he wanted me to succeed at what he knew, and people that I knew, uncles and aunts, were telling me what gives you the right to do this? You're not that smart. You're not accomplished. It takes 5 years to make a business profitable, which is bullshit, by the way. It's 95% of businesses fail, and they're throwing all this shit at me. So I'm getting beaten down from the very first day I started. Right. And then I go and I tell all my friends, hey, I started a business. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Good for you. It's about time. But then I'm not coming around their houses as much. So Scott becomes the asshole who we don't see anymore. Scott's so stuck up. Scott's
I've dealt with that too. Ugh.
He thinks, and then, when your business starts turning profit, all of a sudden money becomes the issue. Oh, Scott started making money and now he doesn't like any of us. He's too good for us. His shit don't stink, blah, 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 blah. And then people reach out for money. And then when you say no, you're an even bigger asshole. And then, you want to tell your wife your wife asks you, hey, how was work? And even though you're married, you go to tell her about your day and she understands none of it and cannot relate to any of it. So you see, entrepreneurship is this gradual path of alienating yourself from the regular, average, everyday person.
Scott, the way you talk about entrepreneurship, people are either going to be pissed or not want to do it, or both.
That's great, because I'm not here to encourage people who aren't meant for this.
Yeah, but it's real. It's real. Everything that Scott has been talking about is real. I agree. If you're around people who don't understand it, they can really, really put that pressure on you to be like
Conform.
everybody else, get a 9 to 5, conform. That's it.
They call
Thank
it
you. I was
they
trying
call
to-
it tall poppy syndrome. The second one poppy gets taller than the rest, it gets cut down. They call it crab bucket syndrome. If you
Yeah,
are a
crab bucket.
crab trying to climb out of the bucket, all the other crabs will literally pull you back in and break your claws if you keep going. Because, there's a few reasons for that. One is people are afraid for you if they love you. So they don't want you to get hurt or put yourself in a dangerous situation. A lot of people are jealous of you and they don't want you to do better than they are. But then the other part of it is if you do well, they have no excuse and they don't want to shine that light on themselves in their own life, right? So there's
Ooh,
a lot of
ouch.
reasons people treat entrepreneurs a certain way. But that loneliness almost made me quit multiple times because I literally had no one to talk to and no one I could relate to. And my only saving grace was that I found a business coach who had been doing it longer than me. And so when I would slam up against problems, I would talk to, his name was Mark. I would talk to Mark and say, hey man, like, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through. And he'd be like, oh, I've been through that. And then he would relate to me. Or if I had a win, he'd be like the loudest cheerleader. He'd be like, yeah, man, good job. You should keep it up. Do more of that. And having that one person that I could relate to eventually became 3 or 4, 5 or 6. And now I'm surrounded by like some of the most successful business people on earth. But it didn't start that way. And it took me time to find the people, my quote unquote tribe, my friends. And they weren't the friends that I had in high school. And they weren't the friends I had in my 20s when I was smoking weed and drinking and talking about how bad the government is. And, it's not the same group of friends. It's a group of friends who are also entrepreneurs. And, like, I think a lot of people, they almost expect their family and friends to be supportive. And because they don't change their surroundings, the people who surround them, they fail.
Yes, I agree. When I started with, let's say, Pink Zebra, that's where, with direct sales, a lot of people reach out to their family and friends. By that time, I didn't, because when I had my own candle shop, I knew my family weren't going to be the ones that patronize my shop, my business. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna find new friends. My new customers are gonna become my friends. And that's pretty much how I look at it now. And you can be mad at them, but understand that people don't always have the same vision as you. They don't have the same understanding. Because being an entrepreneur, especially at working from home, it is so unexplainable how you're flexible with your time, but you're still working your ass off.
Yep.
Even though you may not go out to an office, it's still as important to you. You're still making money. You may be working 11 o'clock at night, but you may be able to sleep in till 11 a.m. But just, it's different. It's so different. I know a lot of my relationships, friends and significant others, it's been that battle of trying to explain, like, yeah, I can get up and go anywhere, but I still have to do some kind of work. I need to make this Facebook post, or I need to answer this client text 11 o'clock at night because they just got off from work, or whatever it is.
And like, just because I don't go into an office every day does not mean I think I'm better than you. And I think people think that maybe they think I'm better than them for some weird reason. And then they put those words in my mouth. Maybe it's something they wish they could do and they're jealous of. And so when I can literally walk downstairs and play with my daughter, but you're working 9 to 5 in an office and can't do the same, I'm the bastard, and I look at stuff like that and I'm like, man, like you have no idea how twisted you have this. This isn't glamorous. This isn't glitz and glory. This isn't, laptop lifestyle on the beach in Spain with sand in my keyboard. This is, like long hours all night. I see Scotland maybe 2, 3, 4 hours a day if I'm lucky, and sometimes I'll take full days off because I can, but like, it's not better. It's just different. And so like, when I think about it, there are some certain things that I had to do to ensure that I had the right group of people around me. And so like, the first thing I did, like I said, the coach, so helpful, so helpful. And you've had run-ins with coaching too. And I bet you it got you over a lot of slumps where you felt very alone.
Oh, yes. Yes. I can't do without a coach.
Yeah, no. And then the other thing I had to do was Facebook group. I went and found a group of foul-mouthed British entrepreneurs who I really hit it off with. And a lot of them became my clients, you know? And so I got to see their struggles and I got to see them hitting up against the same walls I did. And I didn't feel so lonely anymore because I could see like 16,000 people were going through the same thing I was, but they were from all over the globe. So there was no way I would have met them in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're working from home and just the not being able to change your scenery is bugging you, go get a co-op space somewhere. Pay for a room in an office that you have to physically go to and say hi to the receptionist and bring her/him a coffee every day. You'll make a
Yeah.
friend in that co-op space, you know, and you won't feel so lonely. They'll actually look forward to seeing you, especially if you're bringing them stuff. You know? And then finally, like when money starts rolling in, don't think you have to buy your friends or family's approval. You know,
Ooh.
your loyalty or their loyalty should not be reliant on how much they can get out of you. And if they're coming around looking for money and they're mad that you're not giving it to them, they're not your friend.
And also, so if when a person works, and I'm not knocking the 9 to 5, I'm not
No.
knocking it at all. But when it comes down to it and people judging you for being an entrepreneur, a 9 to 5 is so safe. A regular job is so safe because you go in, you do your work, you have a set salary or hourly rate, and then you come home. A set time, you come home. When you're an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, you're the marketing team. You got to go to find the clients. You're the sales team. You're the IT department. You're everything
Yep.
in your business.
You're the content producer, the client delivery person, you're everything.
Right. And it's not always certain like how many clients you're going to have or if somebody's going to fall off as a client and how that affects your pay. So it's kind of like CEO level stuff that people look at when they're at that level about winning contracts and stuff. That's what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But as an employee, it's like I show up, I do my work, I get paid, I'm out.
Yep. And that to me is wonderful. Like that's the thing is like I can go on. And one thing I've noticed about loneliness is there's different levels to who we are. And I think entrepreneurs, we cause our own loneliness in a way because we identify so much with being the entrepreneur, right? Whereas I can go on my Facebook wall and say, what's your zodiac sign? And everyone on earth has one.
Mm-hmm.
So I can relate to everyone on earth there. And then I can go, what do you take in your coffee? And well, not everyone likes coffee. So I alienate myself from those people, but everyone who likes coffee will tell me what they take in their coffee. And then I can find my coffee twins, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I can ask people, what's your favorite meal? What's your favorite movie? And I'll relate to people on those levels. But then once you start getting into what do you do for a living, if that's your identity, you're going to be very lonely. So just remember that you're a person first and you can identify with people on a personal level. You can always relate to people. But the second they start getting judgy about you and what you do, it's not you. It's not you at all. It is them. And so you're going to have to go find people who have up-leveled beyond that level of thinking to relate to you, to teach you things, to welcome you in. You're going to have to join a few new circles just so that you have friends who get you.
And when you're around those people, it is absolutely amazing. People you can walk up to and they're willing to collaborate. They're willing to refer people to you. It's it's a new world. A whole new world. Okay. Anyway.
I love it. I can show you the world. But yeah, no, I think that, and I've seen it with my team, right? Like Jesse went from working a retail job to working like with me. And the difference has been day and night for him. He works his own schedule. He works from home. He has time with his wife. It's stuff like that. But his friends, they're like the friends he hangs out with, they're like, how'd you get that job? Make sure you have a backup plan in case the company folds. I give it 6 months. And you know what I mean? Like these are his friends and family talking to him. Same thing with my writer, Jacqueline, you know, she jumped into this and you could tell that like other jobs, she's been beaten down and she's had a lot of like,
yes.
you know, she's had like people have monitored her every move and told her this is how you must behave because this is customer service and you're not allowed to have your own personality. And then she gets in here and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. As long as you do your work every day, I don't care when, I don't care where. You could literally write your show notes on the Brooklyn Bridge. I don't care. Like,
she's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But no, I'm on the bridge today. Are you sure I can do it here? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like,
because it's a different mentality.
yeah, I'm sorry if this isn't what you're looking for. And is it okay if I do this or that? And there's a lot of asking for permission and apologizing involved with that. And I'm like, first of all, I don't micromanage. If you need to be micromanaged, you do not belong on my team. Okay. I want to work with adults who can work independently. They know what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, and they get it done. I don't care. So there's a lot of like, I don't even talk to them some days, you know? And then we connect on a personal level. Like, just because we're all professionals, Jesse's trying to lose some weight. Jacqueline's trying to lose some weight. I'm trying to maintain weight. We all use the same app. So
I'm trying to lose weight, but I'm just not talking about it because then I'll get frustrated.
So we all get in there and we clock our app, and you know, and Jesse's following me on MyFitnessPal, and I'll go check out his journal and giggle about the fact that he consumed XYZ calories that day and give him hell for it. And he'll talk about the fact that I can't live on energy drinks and ice cream sandwiches, you know? And so
Damn, that sounds good.
Right?
Sandwich. I hate you.
Entrepreneurial life is a good life. Rock stars and ice cream sandwiches. That is my diet unless Tor cooks. But, you know, like it's nice. And that's part of the reason I hired a team, Airial, to be completely honest with you. It gave me, like, I realized that Jesse gave me someone to talk to who understood every inch of the inside of my business.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I can't bounce things off of my wife and be like, hey, I'm experiencing this struggle, and she'd be like, okay. Jesse will be like, yeah, man, I noticed that. This is kind of a pain in the butt. How can we fix that? And then I'll get to back. And it just creates this conversation back and forth because he literally gets it. And he gets it in a way that a coach wouldn't get it because he's literally working as a teammate. And so he sees my frustration on a different level completely. And so I've found just finding the right people and putting them around me in the right ways has solved I'm not lonely anymore at all. You know,
there you go.
But I do remember what it was like. And I do think that it's an important thing to talk about in Mental Health May because it has been the breaking point for a lot of people.
Yes. Because it can feel so lonely. And then you're like, well, why am I doing this? I want to give up. And then you go in that downward spiral if you don't catch yourself. So I do agree. It is important. And when you were talking about having the right people, I was thinking about how I reach out to you. So like how you were talking about, you know, your friends or family may be like, oh, you're going to fail. 95% of businesses fail. You're going to fail in 6 months or whatever. So say you have a call and they don't pay you or they don't buy or they give you some objection, they say no, and you try to tell that to somebody who doesn't understand the industry, they're like, see, I told you it wasn't going to work. You were stupid for trying that anyway. But I know I have a call. First of all, I announced that I have a call to you and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then it's like, okay, I'm building up to the call. I'm nervous. And it's like, okay, calm down. You know, I get a little pep talk from you. And then after the call, it's like, so how did it go? And it's like the ups and downs. And then, but also you'll put in your 2 cents and say, how can we make it better? Or what did you do right? What can you improve on? That kind of thing. So it's not just knocking me down, but it's actually building me up because Absolutely. You understand the ins and outs of it.
Well, yeah. And to be honest with you, like, this might sound like far-fetched for a lot of the beginning entrepreneurs, but these people aren't going to be your doubters forever. So careful how you treat them. In the case of my mom and stepdad, right? Like, they were really rough on me early on. Now they're like, oh, you can come use our house if Scotland's being too loud, and I'm so proud of you, and you're Mr. Business now. And like, my mom overheard my stepdad talking on the phone to his mother. She's like 91 and she like helicopter rides into the Grand Canyon to have lunch. It's the craziest thing ever. Like, she's so cool.
My.
Yeah, she's still living life. She went on an all-girls road trip at like 89 years old across Canada. She's that woman. And, you know, like, my stepdad called her and he was like, you know, Scott's running his own business and he's profitable and he's doing better than, you know, like, he's getting paid better than I used to in the military. And, you know, like, he used to say, like, he was saying all these things to his mom, and my mom overheard it. And she said, Scott, that man was beaming with pride, but do you think he'd ever tell me that? No, you know, because he's always looking at me as if to say, like, you know, what's the next step? Make sure you're secure. Is your family secure? So what I think he's being rough on me for, my mom is seeing a completely different side of that, you know. And
you know, what this whole conversation reminds me of is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Very, very similar. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I once had an aunt who told me, what gives you the right to be helping people like this? And I said, I decided to go do it. That's what
Ooh,
gave
love
me
it.
the right. You could do it too if you weren't such a victim. And then when I finally got to
Scott, you
where,
step on some toes.
so, and then when I got to the level I'm at now, that same aunt is like super proud of me. And, you know, like really just, she wants me to understand that she's like, you know, you did good, you know, and I'm sure she regrets saying those things too. So a lot of this is, if you have a track record and you have to prove people wrong, just rather than try to convince them that you're right, just shut your mouth. Don't, you know, just shut your mouth and execute. Don't get into pride fights trying to convince people you're right. Show them you're right with your actions and the results. And then go look for the people who do get it right away, because they're going to be your early support system. And then eventually all your haters become your fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Look at Cardi
crazy.
B. That's my girl.
Yeah. Winning Grammys and shit.
Right?
But yeah, so I think that's just one of the things that I do want to point out is, just because someone doesn't support you now doesn't mean they won't eventually. So try not to burn bridges. A lot of it can be that they don't know how to support the you that is being presented to them right now.
And they're just scared for you.
Some of them, and some of them are just blatant assholes. So try to know the difference.
I try to be tactful. You're just like, no.
Well, I've got this one friend who he grew okay, so for the record, I grew up in low income housing, lower middle class, you know, just that kind of thing. We didn't have everything, you know, and that's part of what fuels me to want everything. And that I'm in a Taurus. I love being surrounded by beautiful, expensive things. I have a friend who also lived in that neighborhood, and his life is smoking dope in the basement, complaining about how shitty his life is, and won't go get a job. I was working 2 jobs, trying to build a business, build a family, do all that stuff. And he's never changed in the, I don't know how many years I know him, but he has a family now, but he's still the same person. I have a family now, but I'm a very different person. And the bottom line of it is, I needed to distance myself from the venom that was this person, because anything I wanted to do was, oh, you're just feeding the system. You're just playing into the man. You're just playing the game, you know, and all this stuff. And no matter what I did, he was never going to be proud of me, you know? And so that's what I mean when I say some people just aren't going to support you, is they're just poisoning themselves and they want you to be there with them. Misery loves company.
Yeah. And I've dealt with that. When I look back on my hometown and some of the people who stayed there, and I mean, even in my family, I've heard that, oh, you think you're better than or whatever, and oh, give me money. And I'm like, no, I work hard for my money. I still have bills to pay. Yes, I may have this house that's worked for that. And I made the decision to leave and do this and that. You can make the same decision. So it's about the choices we make and the decisions, and whether or not we play victim or if we push through that. Because that's a whole other conversation about the system and the man, and I can't do this because of this or whatever. You have to make that choice to go after what you want.
Oh yeah. And so if you are an entrepreneur, surrounding yourself
I kind of got off topic, but that was my little rant.
You know what? If you're an entrepreneur, you cannot surround yourself with people who have victim mentality. You'll fail. You know, so they'll try to victimize you as well as themselves. And so you really have to distance yourself from those types of people, because you need to understand that if you're hanging out with low life friends, you're probably going to remain a low life. And just because you want to pick them up and you want them to succeed and you want to bring them somewhere they've never been before, they may not want it as bad as you do. And you can't, what is it? The Lord helps those who help themselves. Well, I am not going to be better. I'm not even going to think for a moment that I'm better than the Lord. So if you don't want to help yourself, nothing I can do. I'm a walk the other way. Thanks.
I'm done.
So entrepreneurial loneliness can be cured in a few ways. And number 1 is get yourself a coach, because they're going to continuously move you forward. 2 is join some groups. 3 is make sure you get out of your house and talk to real people. 4 is remember you yourself are more than just an entrepreneur, and you can connect with people on every single level possible. So maybe get out of your entrepreneurial head a bit and just talk about your favorite, I don't know, sports team or something. Cowboys.
Yes. You like the Cowboys?
Oh, and absolutely not. I just said that because you like the Cowboys. I'm a hockey fan through and through.
You know what? Stop. Just stop.
Yeah, no, hockey. That's me. It's violent football with sticks and ice. It's Canadian football. But like just connect with people on a level that might not be entrepreneurial, and you might be pleasantly surprised there that it's a good break for your head too, and it might solve all the other mental health issues that we've discussed this. But it's just to stop entrepreneuring for a minute, and then finally just distance yourself from poisonous people who are going to knock you down no matter what, because you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. And that's it.
I don't you sound so like such an ass this episode.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, again, that's one of those things where people, again, it's polarizing, right? The people who love this, they're going to relate to me. They're going to come to me. They're going to be like, yes, I really, really loved what you said. And the people who didn't, maybe they're really sensitive people. Maybe their feelings are easily hurt, or maybe, maybe I'm just not their cup of tea. Like,
and usually I have something to say, like a translation, but I can't today. I just.
Oh, let's face it. I'm speaking 100% black and white truth. It's either going to ring true for you or it's not. But the biggest thing here is if you are experiencing loneliness, there are ways around it. And if you want to hire a business coach, or if you want to, start surrounding yourself with positive people, the best thing to do is get into like-minded spaces. And, Airial.
And this is one.
Yeah, Airial's a fantastic coach if you need help with some things, especially on the mental health front and early stage entrepreneurship. Airial is your girl. She's amazing. If you need a podcast and you want to talk to somebody who knows the game, it is cool. I'm definitely more than happy to talk you through that. We got tons of resources.
Speaking of podcasts,
yeah,
that is one of the ways that I found a support system is through podcasting. So I found other people who had similar stories or understand what we go through as entrepreneurs, and that has fueled that network.
True story. That's how I found you, right? So
right.
It's one of those things where just creating opportunities to get around other people will definitely help you. And there's tons of groups on Facebook you can look through and join into conversations. The biggest thing is just don't suffer in silence anymore on anything. Your anxiety, your depression, your loneliness, the pressure you're feeling, anything we talked about this May, don't suffer in silence. Find someone you can talk to, relate to, and just curb that loneliness and start digging yourself out of these holes you find yourself in. And you will find that 2019 will be a better year than 2018 was. 2020 will be even better than that. And just, you'll keep building, meeting new people, learning new things, but just don't get discouraged. Don't give up.
And because you're a solopreneur doesn't mean you have to do this solo.
Love that. And so with that, if you do want to reach out, if you do want to connect, please find links in the show notes below. Reach out to us. Let us know if you're experiencing loneliness, or if you found a reprieve from entrepreneurial loneliness, or, maybe you need a little extra support along your path and you're not able to find it. Let us know. And we'd be happy to point you in the right direction, provide some of that ourselves, and or just chat, get to know you. It's good to know who's tuning in. So much love, much respect. Have a great week.
Mwah.
Thank you for tuning in to the TrepTECH podcast. But if you like what you heard, go on to Apple Podcast and bring her a 5-star review. And also, if you want to check out her service while she transforms mindsets, navigating entrepreneurship, leveraging technology, building relationships while bridging the gap in your business, check out TrepTECHacademy.com. That's TrepTECHacademy.com.